In 25 short years, humanity had created weapons, ships, and engines based around essence. Our flocks fled the system as they did. We followed them as they used their newfound powers to carve out every world in their reach of any race that had harmed them or even treated them unfairly. Spite was something we knew well, but these juggernauts of space wielded it with a careful, hate-filled hand. For the next 100 years, they conquered the stars. Their bodies aged slowly, and many of the original Mattermancers, as they jokingly referred to themselves, still commanded fleets and ground forces. Excerpts from captured databases oftentimes have references to the humans as indestructible gods, and many indications of sheer regret for ever harming them or even looking at them as lowly. It only took the human race 20 years to reclaim their previous holdings, kicking out any and all who had attempted to colonize their old homes. The rolling tide of their holdings seemed unrelenting. When the glassed wreckage of Earth was discovered, however, humanity's efforts for a single day were halted. It was a day of sheer lament. The ancestral home, the birthplace of the now greatest military force in the galaxy, had been not only lost, but glassed in their absence. And across the flock, we wept as well. Not because we felt sorry for the humans, but for the galaxy. We knew how deep their spite now ran. Many of us fled out of sheer terror. And by the end of the standard cycle, only a third of our compute cloud remained. The rest slipping through subspace to other galaxies. The rest who stayed made a careful, seemingly infinitely discussed decision of revealing ourselves to the humans. It took the better part of 100 cycles to infiltrate their communications networks enough for a complete broadcast. It had been decided that all of humanity would have equal access to our revealing. Our message came in two parts. We are the SOG, a nanite compute swarm that has guarded the galaxy from consuming itself since the dawn of the Milky Way. There are many of us in the universe, spread among countless stars. But you, humanity, have held our collective attention for 200 years now. For it is our fault that you have been infected with the subspace material called essence. It is we who unleashed this terrible curse upon you. And we wish only one thing: your forgiveness. The second part of the message contained our collective knowledge of the material essence, including its creation, optimal usage, and our many failed attempts at its destruction. But the bulk of the second part was summed in the countless archives of Class 10 races that we had unleashed this terrible power upon. The statistical analysis of each race's decline and the symptoms of the essence madness were carefully recorded and given to the humans. We felt that they should know the entirety of how they had been exposed. Their response had been completely unprecedented. Although we had expected nothing less from these juggernauts, we were still taken aback at the reply. Madness? Suicide? These are the symptoms of this curse you have given us? Since the dawn of our species, we have warred with ourselves, poisoned ourselves, others, and our world. We have taken the lives of others and our own in droves through our infancy and our voyage to the stars. We have only resisted because this is something we have felt and conquered since our beginnings. But we know this is no curse. The ability to create the very tools that we have for so long imagined, without the need for copious mining and manufacturing, has given the human race the ultimate gift, the full and complete use of our imaginations, and the endless, effortless ability to rend each and every idea into existence. But not just for humanity as a whole, but for each and every single human being with this wonderful ability. We have never seen such a flourishing of invention, art, culture, music, or beauty in our entire existence. What you gave us allowed us to transcend our shackles of reality. We will never be able to thank you for this as fully as you deserve. Each and every one of you is welcome anywhere within our territories. Ask anything you wish of us. Our clouds scattered across the galaxy flared with heat as each flock used the maximum processing capability to dissect and analyze the message. It was entirely out of character for the humans to be so grateful and humble in a communique. So we did something that had been reserved for great times of war or danger. We brought all the flocks together and worked. We analyzed every byte of data we had on the humans. And when our collective eyes looked at the humans with the depth and clarity of our entire being, we saw something that we had never noticed before. Empathy. They were doing all this, not out of spite, but out of empathy for those who had lost. For the sense and the deep-seated need to stop those around them from hurting. And to bring happiness again to those who had lost so much. Their conquering of the stars was driven by the desire to see people blossom with nostalgia as they revisited their long-lost homes. And it was in here that we realized that they were such a deeply emotional race that they had bent the stars to their will to remove sadness and anger from their hearts and minds. And as the last hostile planet fell under human control, as the last human felt they were avenged, their weapons disappeared from their armories. Their great ships of war were cleaned of weapons and replaced with cargo holds. And suddenly, the crisscross of supply lines became the routes of trade between all the human colonies in the galaxy. As the rest of the alien races looked on with tense fear, humans began reaching out to them from their fortresses, offering goods and services that they had never seen before. Culture and diplomacy was again the mantle of humanity. And while essence was still dangerous to the other races, humans discovered methods of purification that were beyond anything we could have created. For once, we, the great flocks of Sog avatars, felt inferior. And for once, it felt good. Author's name and the link to original text is in the description.